This is just a very quick video to give you an idea of how to actually include velocity information on your cross-section. So this is the cross-section for site 1 that you've already plotted, and what you've then got here, what I've actually written in, are a series of velocity readings, okay, and as with the plotting of the cross-section, what's happened here is that there's a velocity reading taken at every 10 centimetre depth at each of the locations where the water depth was measured for the cross-section. So for example here, there's a reading at 10 centimetres depth, same here or 0.1 metres, but here where the depth goes over 0.2 metres or 20 centimetres, there's 2 readings. So what that allows us to do is to plot across on the graph paper, just writing with small writing, the velocity in metres per second of each of those locations within the cross section. Once we've got those, what we can then do to begin to help pick out the pattern of the velocity is to use something called isovels. Isovels are simply lines of equal velocity, and here what we've done is we've left everything under 0.2 as being no colour at all. We could have had a line at 0.1, but there's no measurement under 0.1, so we don't know where that would be. But then here we have measurements, 3 measurements here and a measurement here that are all above 0.2. So what we need to do is to draw a line, almost like a contour line, around that velocity. Now the way that we do that is to work out roughly, if we say 0.14 to 0.23, and sort of imagine sort of equal intervals between those two numbers, between those 2 points, 0.2 might be about here. In exactly the same way, between 0.13 and 0.28, 0.2 might be roughly here, roughly there, and then roughly here. So what we do is we work out roughly where that 0.2 should be. In exactly the same way, there's then one little place where it goes above 0.3. So what I've done is I've put a line in here, but it's very, very close to the 0.31, because roughly 0.3 might be about here, 0.29, 0.28. It might be a little bit further out, but the idea is to give some idea of how close 0.3 would be to 0.31. Likewise here, 0.21, very close in to 0.21, because that's a line showing where 0.2 is. But what that then allows us to do is actually to look at the cross section and to begin to get an idea just visually by shading in those different areas. By shading those in, what it allows us to do is get just some visual impression of where the water is flowing most rapidly. What I haven't added here, which would be useful for yourselves to do, is some kind of key or explanation as to what the different colours are showing. So the lighter blue is showing 0.2 to 0.3 in terms of velocity, the dark over 0.3, the white less than 0.2. When you look at the other 2 cross sections, it will be useful to try to keep the same kind of colour scheme going so that you can then compare across the cross sections. But these lines are what are known as isovels. In other words, iso meaning equal, vel velocity, points of equal velocity, or an isovel.